Money on my mind, got my money in my mind, right? Money on my mind, got no time for that limelight. I'm from California, man, I guess we'll start with that. Banged out starter caps, glued to the cul-de-sac, looking like an artifact, trying to get their money back. Yellow jackets coming, mama about to have a heart attack. Southeast San Diego, we was at the heart of that. You moved about the hood, my nigga, you ain't want no part of that. Move to work and let the money drip the laundry mat. I pray to God the homie get his little daughter back. So many problems and it's not even a part of rap. So many suckers and they hating and they copycat. And life is bigger than these bitches that you hollered at. And if you bleed it out, I better get $3 back. And all I'm giving is the facts. Pay attention to the stats and never making mention of the jacks. Gotta keep the money stacked, work your way through the traps. Money motivated to the max. Money on my mind, got my money in my mind, right? Money on my mind, got my money in my mind, right? Money on my mind, got my money.
What up, what up, what up, what up? It's your boy, Cali Dre, in the motherfucking building, man. And welcome to the remix with Cali Dre. You know what I'm saying? Hey, you know, I had to get to it today, man. You know, with all of this political, you know what I'm saying, moves and strategies and bombings and wars and shit going on, man. Y'all know I had to get up on here, man, and give y'all a little bit of this politics today, man. So we really gonna get right to it, man. I had a whole nother motherfucking show I was gonna do, man. I had a whole nother show I was gonna drop on y'all today, bro. But you know, woke up this morning, man. Actually, before I went to sleep late last night, I was hearing rumblings of some things going on in Venezuela, man, and the United States troops was taking some actions over there. Then I get up this morning, man, and I see that all hell done broke loose out in Venezuela, on South America, man, at the hands of the Trump administration, man. So we gonna definitely tiptoe through that, man, and see what all that is about, man. So yeah, let's get right to it, man. Get the likes up, get the subscribes up. I thank y'all for watching the channel, and I appreciate y'all chopping it up and getting in the comments for me, man. You know what I'm saying? That's real big. Make sure y'all keep the comments going. You know what I mean? And let's get it going, man. You know what I'm saying? Let's get it going. As y'all already probably know, South American country Venezuela was attacked, illegally invaded, and had their president removed this morning by the Trump administration. Before we get into all that content, I want to try to set the stage for you, and let's take a look back and take a look at some of the things that have been said over the years by this current administration and their view of, you know, Venezuela and how they wanted to, what the things that they wanted to do in Venezuela, right? So take a look at this article here. This is an AP article. This is an AP article dated July 28th, 2025. And it says Trump doubles the reward to $50 million for the arrest of Venezuela's president to face U.S. drug charges. And if you scroll down a little bit on the article and read a little bit, I'm going to read it to y'all. It says the Trump administration is doubling to $50 million a reward for the arrest of Venezuela's president, Nicolas Maduro, accusing him of being one of the world's largest narco traffickers and working with the cartels to flood the U.S. with fentanyl-laced cocaine. Under President Trump's leadership, Maduro would not escape justice, and he will be held accountable for his despicable crimes. And that's quoted by Attorney General Pam Bondi. It says Maduro was indicted in Manhattan federal court in 2020 during the first Trump presidency, along with several close allies, on federal charges of narco terrorism and conspiracy to import cocaine. At the time, the U.S. offered $15 million of a reward for his arrest. That was later raised by the Biden administration to $25 million, the same amount the U.S. offered for the capture of Osama bin Laden following the September 11, 2001 attacks. So just wanted to set the stage a little bit with that because there has been a long-standing effort by this administration and by other administrations as well to uh to have the Venezuelan president Maduro face justice. And you know, I have no argument with evil dictators and bad actors around the world facing the justice that they deserve. And I definitely want to preface all of my comments, with that caveat and just put that out there right now in the beginning because again, I've stated, many times on this platform, people that know me on other platforms, they know that I'm not a Trump supporter, but I'm always about giving you guys the factual information as I can find it, as I see it. And my political beliefs, I try not to let them in any way, shape, or form, get in the way of whatever the facts are and whatever the truth is and wherever that leads. And so that's, what I try to look for. And in this situation, there are a lot of politicians and a lot of political scholars and media members and elected officials around the world that have the same sentiment that I have regarding this current bit of news that we have about the Trump administration launching an illegal invasion and removal of Venezuela's president Maduro. But I definitely want to just make sure that the facts are coming out as I can find them and as I see them. And as I have looked around today, been able to find a lot of interesting information that I would like to share with you guys. So after prefacing that, let's take a look at some of the videos of the actual bombing campaign that took place. All right. Give me 1 second here. Get the likes up, get the cash apps up, subscribe to the channel. And let's go.
Amor.
Here's actual video of the bombing that took place in Argentina.
No.
I'm sorry, in Venezuela
Mira eso.
over the past 24 hours. This is the United States
Mira eso.
bombing campaign on Venezuela. Those look like the U.S. helicopters flying in, carry out the mission, which to a lot of people's estimation is an illegal invasion of Venezuela by the Trump administration. And later on in the show, I'll give you guys some of the sentiments of some of these leaders that we have and how they feel about this as well. But as you can see, this is a video of the actual, on the ground in Venezuela last night. I think this happened around 1:30 a.m. Trump administration launched an illegal invasion of Venezuela and the removal of their president and his wife. As you can see, these great video takers are right in the mix. They're right in the middle of it. Looks like some military installations maybe that were bombed. But this looks like a pretty, it looks like an industrial area, but it looks like looks like I see some buildings over there. Look like residential type buildings. I'm not sure. So this is live footage of the ground, of the explosions and of the bombing campaign that the Trump administration has initiated over Caracas, Venezuela.
Mamá, huevo, ¿qué mierda es esta?
Mira allá, mira el quemado.
This is video in Venezuela on the ground, exclusive video
Hay un bombardeo.
taken
Ok.
by
Levanta.
Venezuelan citizens as the bombs are raining down from the sky in this, what I call an illegal invasion of Venezuela and the removal of their president, who, mind you, was a dictator and has done a lot of, bad things and
Vaya,
probably
vamos abajo.
deserved to face justice, but not in an illegal way. You
Vamos
can't bring justice in an illegal way. I don't think that's possible. I think that once you go down that road of illegality, the whole mission is illegal, right? And so those are the questions that the Trump administration has to answer tonight, right? And there are lawmakers asking these questions, and we'll see if we can get some answers. But live video on the ground in Venezuela last night.
Están atacando el fuerte Fiuna. Ay, mira, mamá, huevo, estamos explotando. Mamá, huevo.
As you can see, there's explosions all over the countryside here in Caracas, man. Trump administration, what I call illegal invasion of Caracas, Venezuela. There's we have to ask ourselves why, right? Why is this taking place? That's the main thing. This is something that the American people didn't ask for. The American people weren't clamoring for this. So you have to ask yourself why. Why is this taking place? These are things that the Trump administration has to answer. Look at some more of this video. Live in Caracas, Venezuela. Last night, as the United States bombs rained down on their sovereign nation. And the issue of sovereignty definitely comes up here in a few different ways, because from what I understand, Maduro did not win his election. So he was not a duly elected president, but he was a dictator. He had, obtained his power, I guess illegally. And that's kind of the part of the problem that's going on in Venezuela. They're an oil-rich country, a very wealthy country as far as resources, I believe gold, some minerals. But the officials there have allowed this country to be, ran by gangs and corruption. And so the individual Maduro, the president, I'm not in any way, shape, or form defending who he is as a person or his actions as a leader, but he has a sovereign country, and we infringed the American government, the American military infringed on the sovereign nation's sovereignty and removed their president by force, by dropping bombs. And so this opens a lot of doors that I don't think the average person, who's watching these news stories, would contemplate, right? This opens a lot of doors for powerhouses like China and Russia. They may feel more emboldened to seize power by force, for lack of a better word, right? And so these are the things, the ramifications that I don't know if they are in the calculus of this current administration when they're making these kind of decisions, because the rationale that the administration gave for this move was basically, for drugs, and because he's a bad dictator and we're going to go in there and take their oil. I mean, and they're saying the quiet part out loud about the oil. And so for me, Venezuela is probably the number one, oil rich country in the world. Probably sits on the largest amount of oil in the world. And so these things are not coincidence, right? They're not coincidence at all. What we're looking at here is video of the bombing campaign that took place in Caracas, Venezuela, last night by an invasion, what I call an illegal invasion by the current Trump administration.
Graba ahí, graba ahí.
No, me está jodiendo. Marico, no puedo creer esta mierda. Marico, me está jodiendo. Marico, tengo el corazón que yo.
Ya, marico.
Ya me debo ir.
Bueno, puede ser. ¿Y pillaste? No voy a ir al lado de Fortitudo, güey.
Marico, se me quedó siempre en el puto teléfono. ¿Me estás grabando? Sí, sí. Marico, me da un infarto en esta mierda.
Marico, tengo el corazón a 1000, pues.
Allá también, marico, escucha. Nuestros papás deben estar muriéndose. A mi mamá le da un infarto. No tengo señal acá ni ver, ¿verdad?
Vamos a caminar, vamos. Vamos a...
Mira, pero ven acá, no se metan para acá, no sabemos qué hay ahí que se está haciendo.
As you can see, you know, this was a very serious campaign, man. And, you know, luckily there weren't any U.S. casualties. Luckily there, you know, I don't know if there were any Venezuelan casualties. I'll have to get a readout on that. But, you know, to my current, you know, analysis, I'll say there weren't any U.S. casualties. So that's a good thing. But you have to ask yourself why. You know, why are we doing this, man? I don't think that the people were asking for this when they went to the ballot box, right? And so for me, you know, it comes down to, you know, what do we stand for in this country, man? Like, what is it that we actually stand for? You know, this current administration, if we're talking about this is, you know, and leave in the comments, like leave me a comment and let me know what you guys think that this current bombing campaign in Caracas, Venezuela is about. Because I mean, there's some people that, you know, come down on the side of it's a drug war, right? We're trying to stop drugs, but Donald Trump, I believe just last month, pardoned, you know, I believe it's the Honduran president who was convicted of, you know, shipping in, you know, tons of drugs, I believe fentanyl. And so you just have to ask yourself, what are we doing, right? Are we starting another war over oil? I mean, how did that work in Iraq, right? And when we went into Iraq under one of those Bush administrations, and we tried to seize their oil, how did that work? We got ourselves into a never-ending conflict. And so, you know, the United States is not very good at nation building. You know what I mean? It's you know, we can go and win fight wars, and we may be able to win on the battlefield, but when it comes to stabilizing a nation and growing a democracy, you know, I think the evidence shows that we suck for the most part, right? So that's what you have to ask yourself, man. Like, what are we doing all this for, right? You know, and I am, you know, a political scholar. I consider myself. I have a degree in this subject, so something that I'm really passionate about. I think others should be too, and that's kind of why I cover it. But you know, I'm also an analytical thinker. I'm also a business-minded thinker, right? I'm also an educated thinker, and so those, you know, those designations force me to ask questions, man, and ask the tough questions, and that's what I try to do, right? That's what I try to do. Let's take a look at some of the other video that I was able to find out here on this situation. Let's see if we can capture this. Get the likes up. Get the cash apps up. I appreciate your support for the channel. Let's get to it.
Mira esa mierda, explotaron allá toda esa mierda, porque tú no estás explotando.
This is Caracas, Venezuela.
Prendió el peo en esta mierda, yo.
Last night. It's crazy, man. You know what I'm saying? You got to ask yourself, what the fuck are we doing, man? Why are we doing this shit? You got people out here, you know, healthcare premiums are about to spike or already have spiked. You got families out here, you know, on social services, food stamps, and various different services that are in jeopardy because the administration won't provide funding or subsidies or, you know, just an opportunity for everyday Americans to you know get a leg up and feed their families and eat every day. But we have enough money to attack Venezuela in a war that nobody asked for, that Venezuela isn't a threat to us in any way that I know of. So, you know, you have to ask yourself, why are the resources being spent in this direction? Why are these things happening, man? And that, you know, that's the ultimate question, man. That's the ultimate question that has to be determined, right? And I think that the Trump administration is gonna run into some pushback here on this issue because this has received condemnation, you know, pretty much from a lot of the political scholars that I've seen and a lot of the political leaders that I've seen. So let's take a look at some of the video that we have here discussing what's going on in Venezuela and what the hell is the Trump administration thinking at this point.
Now, was it cocaine and its trafficking or oil reserves in Venezuela that led President Donald Trump, fresh off his third cognitive test in the last 11 months, to give the green light to do an exfiltration operation and capture Nicolás Maduro, the president of Venezuela, who we don't recognize as the president of Venezuela, and bring him to America and to justice? And I have a bigger question on this Saturday morning. Sure, I've got the indictment. Sure, there's a press conference with Donald Trump, but we are now under the Colin Powell doctrine, which is.
And as I covered earlier in the article, in the news article that I wrote from AP, that I read from AP, right? There is an indictment. There was a previous indictment in the previous Trump administration as well on Maduro, and I think that's where they, you know, whipped up the second indictment from. It looks like an exact replica from everything that I've seen of the first indictment, with a, you know, I guess with his wife added, because his wife wasn't attached to the first indictment.
If you broke it, you bought it. What is the plan for the?
I think that's a very important. I think that's a very important point that that my man Seth Rogen here just hit on, which is, I think that that's where we're at. If you broke it, you're buying it, and the Trump administration has broken Venezuela, and now they're going to be responsible for the cleanup and stabilizing of this country, man.
Sure, there's a press conference with Donald Trump, but we are now under the Colin Powell doctrine, which is, if you broke it, you bought it. What is the plan for the a peaceful transfer of power in Venezuela? I feel sorry for the people of Venezuela. On one hand, they've been liberated from a dictator and a madman by force by America. On the other hand, what is the plan to put in the next government?
Yeah, I think he hits on an important point, right? What is the plan? Like, what is the plan? That's the one thing that, you know, has yet to come out in these press conferences and you know, a lot of the blustering that you're getting from some of these administration officials. Like, what's the plan, right?
Is it going to be Maria Corina Machado, who won hugely in the opposition race, but was not allowed to actually run for president by Maduro? She won the Nobel Peace Prize. She's been in exile. Is that the plan, to bring her back? There's a press conference later today. We'll figure all that out. Or does it devolve down to the last president before Maduro? But I want to focus on cocaine versus oil, because that's really the story.
Cocaine versus oil. That's really the story, right? And that's exactly the part of the story that, you know, stands out the most to me, which is, you know, what is this about? Is this about the drugs, or is this about the oil, right? If you're saying it's about the drugs, I mean, you pardoned the Honduran president just a month ago, and he was one of probably the biggest drug trafficker to the United States in the Western Hemisphere. right? So is it really about the drugs? Leave me a comment and let me know what y'all think, man. Let's continue.
Story for me this morning that we've been tracking, because the cocaine story, which is all over the indictment, there's now an unsealed indictment in the Southern District of New York by the acting interim U.S. Attorney Jay Clayton, and it focuses on machine guns and cocaine and narco-terrorism and Maduro's reign of terror. I get all that. And the fact that there's been drug factions and narco.
Yeah, Maduro was a bad dude. Like he wasn't a good dude. You know what I mean? And nobody is making excuses for the actions of Maduro. You know what I mean? But the actions of the United States president is something that we all should have, an opinion on, and we all should be paying attention to, because that represents how the world looks at us, right? These actions that we're taking, they have an effect on our standing in the world, on how people view Americans in the world, and also our national security in the world, right? That what stands out to me the most in a lot of this administration's enforcement, strategy, I guess I'll call it, right, is that strategy seems to be geared towards Black and brown people primarily, right? They're busting in and shipping in white South Africans, right? South Africans. Try to say that a few times. Salute to my South African brothers and sisters as well. You know what I'm saying? We ain't hating, but America has a very interesting history when it comes to race in this country. And so, if you've lived here long enough, or if you are a Native American, or if you are a, African American, if you are, many of the minority groups, your group has likely experienced some form of racism in this country from the white dominant class, right? The white majority class, I'll say. So, I mean, that's just what it is. And I think that it needs to be discussed more. And I think that, that would help to, bridge some of the gaps and divides that we have in this country, and being honest about the problem. But yeah, of course, I'm a Black man in America, man. I've experienced racism in many levels, many ways, many shapes, on many days, man. And that's just what it is. You feel me? But I still stand tall as a Black man. I'm proud to be a Black man, because I know, for me, right, I understand the history of this country. And, I will never allow myself to be fooled by any, any misconceived notions about what's really going on in this country and what really has been going on in this country. And so, that's a much deeper discussion, probably for many more days as we unfold this platform and unfold this podcast. But, I'm very upfront about where I stand on things, man. And I, am a person that, I don't necessarily, I'm not going to say I don't see color, because everybody sees color, but I don't allow anyone's skin color or their ethnicity to paint any kind of picture for me of who they are. Your resume, your character, who you is as a person, how you treat people, that let me know how you is, man. And that let me know if I want to surround myself with you or not. And that's how I make the decisions of who I have in my life and the people I surround myself with. You know what I'm saying? And so, but if you've lived in this country long enough, you've experienced, some uncomfortable truths about this country, man. And if you have some of those truths, drop them in the comments, man. You know what I'm saying? Let's rap about it. You know what I mean? But yeah, so that's the lens that I look at this from. A lot of the enforcement, mechanisms in this country. You talk about the National Guard, you talk about ICE. You know what I'm saying? They chasing around, Mexicans. They chasing around Haitians. They going after the Somalis, right? Black and brown countries, man. I mean, Black and brown cultures. You know what I mean? And that's what's being attacked. And so, I'm always asking, those type of questions, man, and saying, not everything, is based on a racial divide, but you have to also call out the clear patterns of racism and systemic, you know, systemic racism, I guess is the best word, right? You got to call the patterns out when they there and when they show up. And there are clear patterns of this administration going after black and brown cultures. That's a fact. And if you disagree, put it in the comments. You know what I mean?
Terrorists and gangs helping to run Venezuela. I don't disagree with that. Tren de Aragua being one of them, the FARC being another one. But is this more about oil? Let me just give you the stats on the oil. You're here on Legal AF.
Hell yeah, it's about the oil, man. Hell yeah, it's about oil. I just wanted to answer that question just in case it needed to be answered. You know what I'm saying? Let's continue.
On Saturday morning, you knew I wasn't just going to read you the indictment, right? Oil reserves in Venezuela put them at number 1 in the world for their oil fields and oil reserves.
Oil reserves in Venezuela put them at number 1 in the world for their oil reserves. Number 1 in the world over Saudi Arabia, over the United States, over Canada, over Istanbul, over Egypt, over New Zealand, Australia, Tibet. They number 1 in the world, bro. And we just dropped some bombs on them, saying that we're going to take over all their oil. We're going to run it until it becomes stable enough to hand off. I don't know about y'all, but I'm very uncomfortable with what has taken place in Venezuela. And the thought of this administration, this criminal administration, the administration with a president that has anywhere from 34 to 90 felonies at one point in time, setting the course for the future of a resource-rich South American country. How many people of color are in the Trump administration currently? Put that in the comments for me, right? How many Latinos? How many African Americans? How many Native Americans are in the current Trump administration? Somebody put that number in the comments for me, man. Get the likes up. Get the cash apps up. Get the subscribes up. You feel me? I appreciate y'all. Let's go.
Representing 17 to 18% of all oil in the world resides in the fields of Venezuela, the equivalent of 303 billion barrels of oil.
The equivalent of 303 billion barrels of oil reside in Venezuela, man. So you got to ask yourself, is this about drugs? Is this about trying to play good cop? Or is this about that motherfucking oil, man? And here's the thing about the oil too, right? I don't support more drilling. I don't support, crude oil as our primary energy source. There are a number of reliable, sustainable, cleaner sources of energy in the world that we have, with our advanced technology, been able to harvest, harness, and utilize. And so oil is dirty, it's filthy, it's killing our environment, man. Global warming is probably another topic I'll cover on this platform. And it is very much real, right? Our, the gases that we put into the air, the carbon that we pollute the air with, the Earth's defense mechanisms for that have dwindled down over the years, and the Earth's getting weaker and weaker. And during COVID, there was actually some studies done where you can see in pockets, especially here in California, right, that the air was cleaner when people weren't out there, and it showed that there was a clear man-made effect on the environment, because during COVID, people weren't traveling. And if you took, when you looked at the topographical pictures that were taken from satellites and you put them next to each other pre-COVID, during COVID, the periods during COVID, those photos and those images were showed an environment that was much cleaner, man. And so you got to keep all this stuff in mind as these decisions are being made. And that's why a part of the reason I created this channel was to try to break down some of this heavy information into terms that people can understand, because if you have understanding, you can make good decisions, man. And that's what it's all about. We are severely lacking in decision making, in my opinion, in a lot of areas in this country, man. And so, a part of the reason that y'all see my face right now, you know what I'm saying, is to try to assist that, turn the wheel in a different direction, man. If I can reach one, they could reach one, and they could reach one. You know what I mean? That's the whole premise of this thing I'm trying to do. But just bringing y'all good information, man, and bringing you guys independent media that's not corrupted by the spin cycle. You feel what I'm saying?
Primarily in a Venezuelan oil field known as the Faja del Orinoco. It is extra heavy crude, and it takes a lot to extract it, but once it's out, it is very valuable. With the right technology and American partners and American oil companies, I am sure it could be the #1 oil producing company in the world and surpass Saudi Arabia, not by a little, but by a lot. Just to give you an example.
So currently, I think at one point Venezuela was pumping out about 3 million barrels a day. I think due to a lot of different factors, some corruption and a dwindling down of their machinery and just wear and tear on their infrastructure. Really, they're only down to about 1 million barrels a day. But the Trump administration's estimation is that with American companies, they could far exceed what the current Middle East pipeline is producing for the world. And so that's what's at stake here, right? And it's greed, it's capitalism on steroids, right? It's really excessive greed by the oligarchs. It's not, we're way beyond capitalism, because this is more on some monopolizing, cornering the market, illegal invasion, illegal bombing campaign, illegal removal of a president in order to control and manipulate a country's resources. And that's really what we're looking at.
Example, back in the 90s, they were able to extract with more rudimentary technology about 3 million barrels a day of oil. It's dropped to about 1 million barrels a day, mainly because of corruption, aging infrastructure, sanctions, and the like. But you don't think that
that's the same shit I just told y'all, man. They was up to 3 million barrels a day. Now they down to about 1 million barrels a day. But they have the potential to far exceed that 3 million barrels a day. You know what I mean? So this is all a play, man. This is all a play for Venezuela's oil and the enrichment of these oligarchs, these gas companies, these oil companies here in the United States, and some probably abroad. You know what I mean? But this is a play to try to take Venezuela's oil, man. The sovereign country of Venezuela, to try to remove their oil, one of our Western Hemisphere neighbors, right? The Trump administration has decided to remove their dictatorial president, I guess I'll say, and try to steal their oil, man.
Donald Trump and other presidents have been rubbing their hands in glee to try to get control of Venezuela for its oil. Let me give you another link and linkage. It has to do with Citgo Petroleum. Sounds like an American company. It was until the Venezuelans under Chavez, the predecessor and the like, nationalized it, communist power. So they took Citgo Petroleum. It has some U.S. assets, but it was owned by the Venezuelan government, particularly by an entity in Venezuela known as Petróleos de Venezuela, known as PDVSA. that was owned apparently about 50-50 with the Russians. Now you know why the Russians were all upset when the Americans and Trump interdicted an oil tanker recently that was actually a Russian oil tanker, because of the close relationship between Russia and Citgo. So for Donald Trump, this is a twofer, right? He gets to poke the bear, poke the eye of Putin, and he gets to try to take over Citgo Petroleum. He's got people in his inner circle that have a vested interest, therefore a conflict of interest for the Trump administration with Venezuelan assets.
Yeah, that's a fact. So anybody in the administration with a vested interest in any of these oil companies has most definitely a conflict of interest. That's a fact.
Who do we look for that? An entity known as Blue Water Acquisition Corporation. Blue Water Acquisition, owned by a guy named Joe Hernandez, has investors including Devin Nunes and a handful of people that sit on the board and are officers of Trump Truth Social Media. But there's another link, guy named.
So that actually is interesting information. So you got people that's sitting on the board of Trump's Truth Social Media that have a vested interest in the Citgo company in Venezuela that also has a vested interest with Russia. It's a lot of interesting connections here, man. A lot of interesting connections. Brings that Mueller report back in. Dust that Mueller report off, and we might need that here upcoming. It is what it looks like.
Fritz Fortmiller. Fritz Fortmiller has his own company called Harridan Circle as an investor. He's not only invested in things related to Donald Trump and in Blue Water to try to get the Citgo assets, but he's also involved with Donald Trump's kids, Don Jr. and Eric, and their investments, and Cantor Fitzgerald, which is led by the Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick.
Wow. I think that's some important information, man. I actually want to replay that again, because I think it's important that we understand how deep these ties run. So when you're listening to the media and you hear these countries that you think are far away and have nothing to do with what's going on in America, you got to understand that the world is not as big as you think. There's relationships, there's partnerships that we engage in with a lot of different countries, you know, some good actors, some bad actors, man. And so understanding how that unfolds and understanding America's role in some of these situations is key, man, and is key to making good decisions. So I want to replay that so we can untangle the relationship between what's going on in Caracas, Venezuela, and what's going on with the Trump administration board at Truth Social and Donald Trump's children.
Fortmiller. Fritz Fortmiller has his own company.
Let me back that up a little bit.
Are officers of Trump Truth Social Media. But there's another link, guy named has invested. Who do we look for that? An entity known as Blue Water Acquisition Corporation. Blue Water Acquisition, owned by a guy named Joe Hernandez, has investors including Devin Nunes and a handful of people that sit on the board and are officers of Trump Truth Social Media. But there's another link, guy named Fritz Fortmiller. Fritz Fortmiller has his own company called Harridan Circle as an investor. He's not only invested in things related to Donald Trump and in Blue Water to try to get the Citgo assets, but he's also involved with Donald Trump's kids, Don Jr. and Eric, and their investments, and Cantor Fitzgerald, which is led by the Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick. Now, I've gone about 5 minutes and I haven't mentioned cocaine yet.
Hey, oh, Seth Rogen here. Funny. He funny, man. Hey, check this out. So as you can see, it's a lot of connections between the Trump administration, the Trump family, Trump Truth Social, and what's going on here in Venezuela. This strike on the sovereign nation of Venezuela, the removal of their president and his wife, and the press conference that was had by the Trump administration today, saying that the United States is going to run Venezuela's oil until there is a sustainable, I guess, peaceful transition that can take place. Sounds like a play to me, man. It sounds like a motherfucking play to try to take Venezuela's oil and to have Trump and his friends profiting from that exchange. And again, you got to ask yourself, man, how much was that bombing campaign? How much did it cost to drop those bombs, to get the gas and the fuel, to get those planes over there, to have our enforcement officials remove the president of Venezuela and to bring him here? Like, how much did that cost, man? This is something that the country wasn't really asking for. You know what I'm saying? I don't know nobody that asked for this. I damn sure didn't ask for this, right? I'm still waiting on my damn $5,000 from the Doge money, man. Where the Doge check at? You feel me? Like, it's a whole lot of boxes that ain't been checked, bro. But money's going out the door, and promises is being made, and promises ain't being fulfilled, man. And so, that's a part of what I want to do with this platform, man, is just to bring that to the attention of the people. You gotta look deeper, man. You gotta look behind the curtain and see what's really going on. And so, the only way that you can do that is to pay attention to the real and not to the fake, really. You know what I mean?
Now, I'm not here to suggest that Venezuela, along with other countries, was not also trafficking in the cocaine trade, especially as oil revenue dropped in the state. And I'm not suggesting that Maduro should have stayed in Venezuela, or we were going to allow just sort of democracy to take him out. I'm not talking about that. And I have many Venezuelan friends here in Miami, and I'm sure there's celebrations in the streets in places like Doral and Kendall.
Let's go a little bit forward to
walk out.
See what he's
largest cocaine trade in this hemisphere.
Hold up.
Serving 45 years in prison for cocaine trafficking.
Yeah.
The president of Honduras.
So I think what he's breaking down here is that if this is about drugs, right? If this is about drugs, Donald Trump just pardoned a dictator from Honduras, drug smuggler, convicted. So is it really about drugs? Like, what? Let's figure it out. Yeah, man. Get the likes up. Get the cash apps up. I appreciate y'all, man.
Square that just 2 weeks ago, Donald Trump pardoned and let walk out the door the president of Honduras, who was convicted and serving 45 years in prison for cocaine trafficking, because it was proven beyond.
So Donald Trump let out the Honduran president who was convicted for cocaine trafficking. That's interesting.
Weeks ago, however, is this really about cocaine? How can you square that just 2 weeks ago, Donald Trump pardoned and let walk out the door the president of Honduras, who was convicted and serving 45 years in prison for cocaine trafficking? Because
how do you square that, man? What? I don't even know how the hell that pardon went through. I'm gonna be honest with you. Or it was a lot of goofy ass pardons, man. A lot of fraudsters on that list. A lot of questionable characters on that pardon list, man. And the Honduran president was most definitely one of those. You know what I'm saying?
And I'm sure there's celebrations in the streets in places like Doral and Kendall, and shout out to Weston and all the places where the proud Venezuelan community settled in South Florida. However, is this really about cocaine? How can you square that just 2 weeks ago, Donald Trump pardoned and let walk out the door the president of Honduras, who was convicted and serving 45 years in prison for cocaine trafficking?
Yeah.
Because it was proven beyond a reasonable doubt that he was responsible for the largest cocaine trade in this hemisphere. So
So if you read that caption, it says Trump captures a presidential drug suspect after pardoning another. Ironic, to say the least, man.
Is it about cocaine, or is it about getting our hands on Venezuela's oil fields and oil reserves from a strategic standpoint?
Yeah, I think we all know the answer to that question. I hope that we all know the answer to that question, man. That's why I ran this string of videos, so that we could get a little bit more clarity on the depth of this situation, and how substantial that the moves that this administration is making currently are, man.
Right? That's why we have relationships as closely as we do with humanitarian and human rights challenged places like Saudi Arabia, most of the Arab Peninsula, because they have oil. If they didn't have oil, we wouldn't be in bed with them. And I mean that administration over administration. I'm not just blaming Trump. But when a guy who just in the last 24 hours celebrated in a social media post that he just passed his third cognitive test, which is really a dementia test, is he really the guy that you want in the future of Venezuela making the plans? It's one thing.
Hell no. Let me say that. Let me get that out to the people, man. Hell no. Let's continue, man.
Thing to say, go Delta team, go take, and have things exploding all over the airport and the port, and start rappelling down from helicopters and taking out Maduro and his wife and indict them, right? Anybody can type up an indictment. Jay Clayton is reasonably competent. He used to be the head of the Securities and Exchange Commission. He could, he had one to work off of. There was an indictment in 2020 of Maduro, but not his wife, for very similar charges, including machine guns and cocaine trafficking.
So yeah, like I earlier stated, man, there was a previous indictment. There was a previous indictment of the Venezuelan president, man. And the Trump administration, to me, it looks like they just took that indictment, added his wife to it, and kept it moving, man.
Anybody can type up an indictment. Jay Clayton is reasonably competent. He used to be the head of the Securities and Exchange Commission. He could, he had one to work off of. There was an indictment in 2020 of Maduro, but not his wife, for very similar charges, including machine guns and cocaine trafficking. So in the first Trump administration, which was led by Bill Barr in the Department of Justice. And that indictment's been out there, along with a bounty on the head of Maduro. I get all that. What is the transition plan? And you think,
what is the transition plan? That has not been answered yet. And that's a question that's being answered by a lot of legal scholars, by a lot of, current politicians, by a lot of politicians around the world, man. What is the transition strategy, right? Anybody can go drop some bombs, but what is your plan to make sure that the Venezuelan people don't suffer even more?
We're going to hear it at sometime today. What is it? Are we going to bring back and install into power Maria Corina Machado? Who's going to run the government until free and fair elections happen in the next 90 days or so? Led by the Venezuelans. And are they?
Well, Trump said he gonna run. Basically, that's what the fuck he said, right? And that's an idea that I can't get jiggy with, man, at all. You know what I'm saying? I can't get jiggy with that shit.
Going to adopt democracy, or are they going to adopt some version of right-wing dictatorship fascism, Trump style? What are we going to install now that we've broken Venezuela? We've bought it. What is the plan? Does anybody think Marco Rubio knows how to make a plan to save an entire country? Donald?
Hell no. Nah. Just had to throw that in there.
Trump? Look what he's done to this country, and he's allegedly in charge of it. So my issues are not.
Hey, that's a fact. That is, Seth Rogen is onto a very valid fucking point here, bro. Donald Trump is in charge of this country, and he was in charge of this country previously. The first time he allowed COVID to come in here and tear a bunch of motherfuckers up. And this time, he's launching an illegal invasion of a sovereign nation and removing their president and his wife. Obviously, they didn't learn the lessons of Iraq and Afghanistan. Nation building is not what we good at. And I'm gonna tell you why we're not good at it, man. Because the United States is not there for the long term. We're not there for the long haul, right? We can come and save the day, and we can come and you know, in the short term, put a band-aid on your situation. But we're not. Administrations change every 4 to 8 years. You're gonna have somebody in there with new views, new ideas, taking us in a new direction, and that's a gift and a curse of the current form of government that we have, right? Because even if we get on a trajectory that will benefit the country long term, it's difficult to stay on that trajectory unless it's pretty much cemented in you know, legalese. You know what I'm saying? And statute and you know, support from the American people, most of all. You know what I mean? And so, you know, factoring in all those things, looking at this current move, looking at the current landscape of the United States, you got no King's protests out here in the streets. You got, you know, the administration arguing in the Supreme Court that, you know, food stamp recipients shouldn't be able to receive their food stamps. You got an administration that doesn't want to provide subsidies for the ACA and Obamacare and getting, you know, over 20 million Americans health care. But we have money to, you know, invade a country and try to take their oil. And again, just you have to look at the agenda. You have to look at the direction, man. Is that things that you support? Put in the comments if that's what y'all support. Let me know. I don't support that. That's not what we do over here. You know what I'm saying? That's not what we about. But maybe you do. You know what I mean? We're gonna check in with a little bit more of this, and I'm gonna get to another video that I want to show you guys.
You know, is the indictment appropriate? Isn't that an interesting regime change that this combination of the CIA and the military pulled off? I'm not here to celebrate that. Okay. It's now happened. And as I said, I feel for the people of Venezuela, both here in exile and in Venezuela.
Yeah, man, I think that's a good place to leave it with this dude, man. Seth Rogen hit a lot of good points over there. Salute to the Midas Test Network for that great content right there, man. But yeah, you got to ask yourself questions, man, of what's really going on. What do you want to go on? Is this helping feed your family when you at your kitchen dinner table? Is this a move that's gonna allow you and your family to get to the next level? And I don't see it as that type of move at all. I see it as a greedy, selfish move that's gonna benefit the elites and people who own gas stations, man. I don't own no motherfucking gas station. You know what I'm saying? Like gas in California, damn near $5 a gallon. So at the end of the day, this don't help me at all. Even if they do secure that oil, gas still gonna be higher than a motherfucker. That ain't gonna relieve the gas prices. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, man, we just gotta be real about shit. This is an illegal invasion, in my opinion, and you know, it's one that, you know, the American people didn't really ask for. You know what I mean? Let's see what other videos I got for y'all, man. We're gonna tap in with some other videos here. Let me see what we got. See what we got here, man. But this is crazy, bro. It's crazy work. Crazy work, man. Let's take a look at this, man. Let's take a look at some of the things that Trump has said over the years about how he feels about Venezuela, man. Get the likes up, get the cash apps up. I appreciate the support for the channel, man.
When I left, Venezuela was ready to collapse. We would have taken it over. We would have gotten all that oil. It would have been right next door. But now we're buying oil from Venezuela, so we're making a dictator very rich. Can you believe this? Nobody can believe it. You know.
So it looks like even back then, man, Trump had his mindset on going after some Venezuelan oil, man. You know what I mean? That clip says it was from 2023. Let's see what else we got here. What is this? What is this post here? It says Trump says U.S. oil companies will invest billions of dollars in Venezuelan oil after Maduro's overthrow. See if I can get a little bit better on that. Get the likes up. There we go. Trump says U.S. oil companies will invest billions of dollars in Venezuelan oil after Maduro's death. After Maduro's overthrow, according to CNBC. CNBC also says President Donald Trump on Saturday said the U.S. oil companies will invest billions of dollars in Venezuela's energy sector after the overthrow of President Nicolas Maduro. We're going to have our very large United States oil companies, the biggest anywhere in the world, go in, spend billions of dollars, fix the badly broken infrastructure, the oil infrastructure, Trump said in a press conference from his Mar-a-Lago residence in Palm Beach, Florida. Let's start making money for the country, right? Now, if you believe that this move is going to make money for the country, put that in the comments. I don't think this move is going to make any money for anybody other than the oligarchs and the large gas companies, man. And that's a fact. Let me see. Oh, I got some more video here I want to show y'all. Let's take a look at this video right here. Let's take a look at this video right here, man. More videos of the attack that happened in Caracas. This is Caracas, Venezuela, during the Trump invasion bombing campaign. This is on the ground footage. Exclusive. Caracas, Venezuela, during last night's bombing and illegal invasion of a sovereign nation. You're looking at footage from the bombing campaign in Caracas, Venezuela. This is the remix with Cali Dre. Thank you for supporting the channel. Get the likes up. Get the cash apps up. Get the comments up. But this is unbelievable footage. Unbelievable. Looks like right in the countryside, bombs are falling. I don't really speak fluent Spanish, but sounds to me like they saying, what the fuck going on? Let's get the fuck up out of here. Oh, shit. Run. Run. Just get the fuck out of here. I think that's what they saying. I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments if I'm wrong. Bring your ass to the house. Get your ass out of here. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's what they saying. You know what I'm saying? So that's exclusive footage right there of the Trump bombing and illegal invasion of Caracas, Venezuela, man. Let's see, what else do we have here that I wanted to show you guys? So this I thought was an interesting post right here, right? It says George H.W. Bush, 1992, quote, "We are protecting Kuwait, not chasing oil." George Bush, 1992, quote, "We bring freedom to Iraq. We don't need oil." Donald Trump, 2025, "We are invading Venezuela for oil. They stole our oil." So let's give you a little bit of context, man, on the mentality of the three Republican presidents, I guess. Let me see what else we got here, man. What else we got here? Hold on. Okay, so this is another post that I wanted to share here. Get the likes up, get the cash apps up, get the comments up, man. Let me know what city, what state, what country y'all commenting from. Let me know how y'all feel about this situation, man. So it says Venezuela is the sixth country bombed by the United States since Trump took office. February 1st, 2025, Somalia. June 22nd, 2025, Iran. March 15, 2025, Yemen. December 19, 2025, Syria. December 25th, 2025, Nigeria. January 3rd, 2026, Venezuela. What stands out to me the most on this list is, and I'm just reading some of the comments to see if anybody else kind of picked up on this, but let me know in the comments what stands out to you about this list, right? And to me, what stands out the most is that these countries are black and brown countries. So it's a lot of black and brown countries on this list. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, that's the direction that this administration has decided to attack, right? You got Somalia, you got Nigeria, you got Venezuela, Yemen, Syria, Iran. I mean, considering if you want to consider Middle Easterners brown or not, that's up to your preference. I do. So, or people of color, I guess I should say. But these are all people of color countries that have people of color that are about people of color, man. And that's where these attacks are being directed. You know what I'm saying? If you look at ICE and the people that ICE is chasing around, they're people of color, man. You hear a lot about the Mexicans and the Puerto Ricans and the Haitians, and now it's the Somalis. And on that Somali topic, right? I believe the lady's name is Amy Bach. She was the founder of the charity in Minnesota that began all this, Minnesota child care fraud, topic that's going on. So for people that are quick to throw the Somalis under the bus and have this whole, get rid of Somalis campaign, the lady that started the masterminded the fraud in Minnesota, her name is Amy Bach. And she's already been convicted. She's already paying a fine, I believe. And so if they're not mentioning her name along with, whatever the 79 other people that were convicted, then there's a slant to that coverage, right? And again, that's a part of the reason why I created this platform, is because your mainstream media has a lot of slant to it, right? Everybody has an agenda that they are chasing, right? They got corporate stakeholders, corporate shareholders. Me, I don't got none of that. You understand? The remix by Cali Dre, sponsored by your boy. You know what I mean? So, hey, get the likes up, get the cash apps up, help a brother out around this motherfucker, man, so I can keep giving y'all this good information and bringing y'all the facts, man, because that's I think good information leads to good decision making, and that's how I live my life, man. And so, I definitely aspire to be able to do that for the people, man, and hopefully y'all let me know in the comments, man, some of these topics and things that y'all want to discuss. I'm real big on politics over here, so we're gonna do a heavy dose of political talk over here, but I'm also interested in a lot of different topics, global interests, so we're gonna cover a lot of different things, man. I'm gonna bring y'all some guests and some interviews. I got a few things lined up. Like I said, I had a whole nother motherfucking show planned for the day, but I woke up this morning and bombs started dropping, and so we got to get in on this, man. But yeah, what else did I want to show y'all, man? There's a few more things I want to show y'all before I get y'all out of here, man. I appreciate the support, man. Get the likes up, get the comments up, get the cash apps up. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people definitely commented on what's going on in Venezuela today. But I wanted to, there was one more video that I wanted to show actually. Let me try to pull that up real quick, man. Give me 1 second, man. Get the likes up. Appreciate everybody tapping in with me today, man. Stay tapped in with me, man. I'm gonna tap in with you. You feel me? And we're gonna keep it the way it's gotta be kept. But it was a couple, I think it was 1 or 2 more videos I wanted to show before I get up out of here, man. We talking about what's going on with this administration, bombing, illegally bombing, you know what I'm saying? Invading, you know what I mean? That's what we're gonna call it over here. It was an illegal motherfucking invasion, man. You know what I'm saying? Of a sovereign country, Venezuela, dropping bombs, taking their leader, taking his wife. You know, I don't know, man. But it looks like it's about that motherfucking oil, man. You know what I'm saying? To me, it looked like it's about that motherfucking oil, man. And so, you know, let me know in the comments what y'all think, man. What is this whole invasion about, man? Let me see. I want to do this and stop sharing that. And then I want to share another couple of videos with y'all, man. And I'm gonna let y'all get out of here. I appreciate y'all tapping in with me. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. What else did I want to? Let's go through this right here real quick, man. All right. 1 second. Fucked up the video here. Technical difficulties around this motherfucker. Get the likes up, get the cash apps up. There we go. We back. We back. We back.
I want to start first, though, with my colleague Rachel Maddow, host of MS Now's The Rachel Maddow Show. Rachel, thank you for joining us and welcome to the show. You've been following this all morning. What do you make of this? It's a very, very big development in a months-long effort against Venezuela.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really interested to hear what the president has to say in his remarks from the White House that are planned for just a little under an hour from now. Ali, I feel like in your heart of hearts, when you think about what the United States just did, I think there are very few Americans right now who have any idea why the United States did this. If this was about
right, hey, that's the same shit I've been sitting up here saying the whole time, right? I am one of those Americans that don't know why the fuck we did this. I mean, I'm gonna be real with you. The American people wasn't asking for this. Here, I gotta put myself on the big show. Hold on, let me put myself on the big show for this one, man. Listen, the American people wasn't asking for this, man. I wasn't asking for this shit. You know what I'm saying? And so I am a part of the American people. I wasn't asking for this shit. You know what I'm saying? It's so many things that's going on in this country, man, that we need to address, right? And so, you know, child poverty, joblessness, homelessness, home prices, you know what I mean? Healthcare costs, you know what I'm saying? It's so many different targets that we got moving around in this country, bro. And you know what I'm saying? In my opinion, like, I just think, you know, people just need to be more informed about what's going on, man. Check the agenda of these leaders that y'all putting into power across this nation, man. They work for you. You know what I'm saying? You don't work for them. And that's the part of the game where people get it fucked up. It's like they think we work for them. Like, nah, nigga, y'all work for us. You know what I'm saying? We put y'all in there. You know what I mean? So, you know, your vote matters, your dollar matters, man. All my people that's out there, you know, holding down them No Kings protests, man. I stand with y'all and salute y'all, because this country is not going in a direction that is beneficial to the majority of the country, right? The moves that's being made are benefiting the top 1%, and that ain't me. And I would imagine that if you watching this channel, it ain't you either. So, you know, we gotta come together on a lot of this shit, man. We all got differences. We all come from different backgrounds. We all got different wants and needs and all that shit, and that's cool, man. You know what I mean? That's what a democracy all about. We supposed to all see things in a different perspective, but we should all have the same set of facts that we work on. And the problem in the country today is everybody is working on a different set of facts. You know what I'm saying? You got one side spitting out a bunch of misinformation, got people chasing their tail and in spin cycles and shucking and jiving and doing all kind of shit. And then, you know, you have another side who may be well-intentioned, but they struggle on messaging and they can't, you know what I'm saying, seem to get out their own goddamn way. You know what I mean? And a perfect example of that, and here's where I'm going to actually get on the Democratic Party, right? A perfect example of that is Joe Biden in the debate, right? There's no way in hell Joe Biden, they should have been talking him into trying to do a debate. And I think those kind of decisions, you know what I'm saying? Somebody should have been like, hell nah, we ain't doing this shit. Why Bernie Sanders ain't been on none of the tickets, bro? Why Bernie Sanders wasn't up there with Joe Biden? Why Bernie Sanders ain't getting a good look? Y'all have no idea how many Republicans that I talk to that support Bernie Sanders. They fuck with Bernie Sanders. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, I don't see how the Democratic Party, if they consider themselves a Big Ten party, would exclude a progressive voice like Bernie Sanders, man. And so those are things I was very upset with the Hillary Clinton campaign when she ran, because she didn't give Bernie Sanders. I think if Bernie Sanders was her vice president, she wins easily. I think if Kamala Harris had Bernie Sanders as a running mate, she wins easily. Republicans fuck with Bernie Sanders, bro. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's just a little bit of politics on how I see the game, man. But we got to be smarter about how we are processing and getting our information. You know what I'm saying? I don't bring nothing to y'all unless I done vetted it, unless, you know, it's a source that I trust, unless, you know what I'm saying, they kicking some good game and some good knowledge for the people to consume, man, because that's what I'm about over here. Like, you know, you see me with the backwards hat, and you know, I got the, you know what I'm saying? I may have the look of one type of person, but trust me, bro, I'm well versed in this shit. You know what I'm saying? And spent a lot of time on my education, and politics and power is something that I'm very much interested in, because even when you don't got money, if you got power, you can move, you know what I mean? And you can move quite comfortably and quite successfully and to high heights. And so, you know, that's the shit that I was always raised, man. If you didn't have money, you better have connections. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, that's what I try to build, man. I try to build a strong network. That's what I'm trying to do with this platform. That's a part of the reason why I jump out on the other platforms that people, you know, may hear me frequent. You know what I mean? Salute to my boy Big Skull. Just Say No to Skull, man. Go subscribe to Just Say No to Skull platform, man. He do dope ass content. And you'll hear me over there a lot. You know, but like I said, man, this is the reason why I decided to jump off this YouTube Porsche is because there's just so much misinformation out there. And one of the things that I'm very skilled at is just getting to the real deal and minimizing the bullshit. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what I, you know, try to accomplish here for the people as they view my platform. And I appreciate y'all tuning in and tapping in, man. Let's get back to a little bit of this, and then I'm gonna get y'all up out of here, man. Let me see what we got here.
About drug trafficking, then why did President Trump just pardon the former president of Honduras, who was convicted of sending hundreds of tons of drugs into the United States?
My bad. Here, let's go back to that, because I think that's an important question that everybody's asking, right? That's a very important question that everybody's asking right now.
About drug trafficking, then why did President Trump just pardon the former president of Honduras, who was convicted of sending hundreds of tons of drugs into the United States? If this was about something about the illegitimacy of Maduro's election, well, that's something that the U.S. is, you know, decrying any other country policing. We just sanctioned Brazil for having tried to protect itself from a coup by its former president, Jair Bolsonaro. I mean, if it's about gangs, we had the president of El Salvador, who is believed by U.S. law enforcement to be very linked with the notorious gang MS-13, which has caused incredible damage in the hemisphere, including in the United States.
I think Rachel is one of the best out there, man, and she gives great breakdowns on, you know, just exactly what's going on in layman's terms that people can understand, man. And I want to run that part of the video back, because I think this is some important context in this part of the video.
If this was about drug trafficking, then why did President Trump just pardon the former president of Honduras, who was convicted of sending hundreds of tons of drugs into the United States? If this was about something about the illegitimacy of Maduro's election, well, that's something that the U.S. is, you know, decrying any other country policing. We just sanctioned Brazil for having tried to protect itself from a coup by its former president, Jair Bolsonaro. I mean, if it's about gangs, We had the president of El Salvador, who is believed by U.S. law enforcement to be very linked with the notorious gang MS-13, which has caused incredible damage in the hemisphere, including in the United States. He's invited into the Oval Office, and the president says that he's looking forward to sending homegrown Americans to that president's essentially, jungle concentration camps. So all of the purported explanations for what's happened here don't stand up to logical scrutiny. The president has never articulated.
Right. That's the whole shit that I've been on. It's just like all the reasons and excuses that's been given for these actions. It don't make no motherfucking sense, bro. I mean, listen, Venezuela ain't never did shit to me. I don't think they ever did shit to us as a country that warranted this action. And so this is another move by an entitled, unchecked president that has the potential to blow up in our face, man, right? The United States is not good at nation building, man. You learn that from Iraq. You learn that from Afghanistan. We don't stick around long enough. Hell, Ukraine. We got Ukraine and a whole bunch of shit. We told them we was going to be down for them, and I think that cause was a lot more valid than this one, right? Ukraine, if for those people that don't know, Ukraine sits in the middle of Russia and our NATO obligated allies, right? NATO is a treaty that we signed after World War II that basically said if our allies over there in Europe get into some smoke, if one bullet fall over there, we all got to go to battle and we all got to defend each other. And so Joe Biden's rationale was let's fund Ukraine, which sits in the middle of Russia and our NATO allies, and let's fund them to fight and hold back the Russian aggression and to hold back Russian pursuits for dominance in that region, right? And basically, we're going to pay the Ukrainians to fight this battle so that we don't got to get American troops, involved in this conflict, which I thought was once it was actually explained and once I actually did my research on it, I thought that was a brilliant fucking strategy by Joe Biden, man, because it minimized U.S. casualties. It provided, assistance to a country in Ukraine that has aspirations to become a democracy. I know they got a little bit of corruption and things going on. And that's what's been being cleaned out over the years, from my understanding. And their president, Zelensky, has done a tremendous job, in my opinion, of bolstering, what the true Ukrainian spirit and what the true Ukrainian people is all about. You know what I mean? I seen the dude when they was trying to escort him out the back door. You know what I'm saying? When they was trying to escort him out the back door, when the Russian caravan was staring him down, that nigga said, he said the gangster shit. I mean, he said, I don't need no car. I don't need no ride. I need some bullets. You know what I'm saying? I need some heat. You know what I mean? And so, I just respected him for that. You know what I'm saying? And so when you look at the strategy behind that effort, and then you look at the strategy behind this effort, right? It's just a different level of thoughtfulness, man. And Joe Biden actually had a strategy to try to neutralize one of our adversaries in the world, which is Russia, and using a third party to do it. A direct bombing of a sovereign nation that we don't got no smoke with, that ain't nobody asking for this. It shows you the audacity of this administration and how Trump feels that he cannot be held to account for his actions, man. And again, the United States is not good at nation building, man. Iraq, Afghanistan will show you that we're not going to stick around. It's going to be different administrations coming in with different views. The people's views change over time, right? Some shit we supported 15, 20 years ago, motherfuckers switch up because there's a lot of narratives over that time. There's a lot of misinformation over that time. I think of, the ACA, Obamacare, and that whole debacle, right? And how the people strongly supported it 15 years ago, and 15 years later, over the period of time, the Republican administration and the Republicans and Congress have been able to chip away at that bill. And, now healthcare premiums is about to quadruple, right? And so we just got to be more mindful of the decisions that we making, man, the leaders that we putting out there, because they work for us, man. And they, you know what I mean? They supposed to be accountable to us. You know what I'm saying? Let's look at a little bit more of this, man. We're going to tap out. You feel me?
articulated a coherent rationale for having done this. This seems like Marco Rubio's dream, not Donald Trump's dream. So I'll be very interested to hear what the president is able to piece together in terms of an articulable rationale for having done this. That said, he's done it. And so, you know, in the immortal words of General Colin Powell, you break it, you own it. And it's one thing to do that on the other side of the world. It's another thing to do that so close to home here in our hemisphere. I don't know if they have any plan for what to do now that they have invaded, bombed, and removed the president of that country. But I'll be happy to hear an America First rationale for it, whatever it is.
And the administration kind of sort of laid a little.
It ain't no motherfucking rationale, man. I mean, I know there is a rationale, actually. The rationale is we trying to take their oil. That's the rationale. The Trump administration is trying to take their motherfucking oil and give it to the oil companies here in America, the oil execs. And that was his plan, and that was his promise, man. And they trying to execute on that. You feel me? They've been trying to go after Venezuela since what, 2023. You feel me? They've been trying to get Maduro and probably making plans on this since probably before that time. But I mean that the indictment, I believe that first indictment was like in 2023. So this shit been in the works, man.
Little bit of it out in its national security strategy that it came out with a little while ago. This whole concept, sort of a renewal of the Monroe Doctrine, that what happens in our hemisphere is our business and what happens elsewhere is someone else's business. That said, this is the interesting question. Donald Trump wanted to get rid of Maduro in his first term. Marco Rubio, as you said, is very determined to have gotten rid of Maduro and says that there's nothing else to happen now that they've got him. The question is what happens, because Venezuela is a tricky country, and we don't necessarily know what the plan is.
Yeah, right when I put him on full view, you feel me? They're gonna go to that. But look, we're gonna take it back, you know what I'm saying, to this commercial.
Take what you do best and
you know what I mean?
create
But
a
basically,
website
yeah,
that's
man,
worthy
this
of
is
it.
a lot of goofy ass shit going on by this administration, man. Here, let me tie back in with the video.
I mean, the president in his remarks on Fox and Friends this morning, which is still just an astonishing choice by a president to have done this before he formally addresses the nation. He called into Fox and Friends and effused about how he felt like he was watching a television show when he was watching the feed of what was going on there, which is just, it's just disheartening to have a president who's that.
Who that goofy as fuck, Rachel? I'm gonna say it, bruh. You know what I'm saying? You on national TV, you can't say it. It's a damn shame to have a president that's goofy as fuck. The nigga think he watching, the clown think he watching a TV show when he instructed a bombing campaign on a sovereign nation and an illegal invasion to remove a president. Like, come on, man. It's a clown show. And at Pennsylvania Avenue, man. You know what I'm saying?
Who has that kind of a mindset about these things. But he also said, essentially sort of ad-libbing, trying to explain why this was a good thing, that, you know, in Venezuela, he was essentially a dictator, as if that was the justification for the United States going in there and physically removing the president of that country.
Right. And that's another thing I want to tap in about, right? Like, nobody, you know, is defending the actions of Maduro. Maduro was a vicious dictator, man, and his day was most definitely you know, supposed to come. But we can't ride the cloak of justice on an illegal operation. You know what I'm saying? That shit don't make no sense. You know what I mean? We got a criminal felon president trying to play police in Venezuela with an illegal invasion and removal for another president to face justice. Like, you can't make this shit up, bro. Like, if I read y'all a story and it was about, you know, a president with 30 to 90 felonies actually becoming a president for a second term and trying to play police around the world, going to the number one oil rich country in the world, bombing them, removing their president, and bringing him back to America to try to face the justice system that the criminal president is in charge of. Like, you can't make this shit up, man. And at a certain level, you know, some of this shit is laughable, right? Donald Trump even being in the position of being president is laughable. You know what I mean? Him actually sitting in that motherfucking office is laughable. And the Democrats have some responsibility in that, because they didn't approach Joe Biden's health the way that they should have. They didn't get people like Bernie Sanders, who I think could have made a tremendous difference on that ticket. They didn't get him into the fold. They, Kamala Harris, from what I understand, they were not allowing her to be herself, her full self and her true self, right? And I don't know if she was being adequately promoted. She dropped a video here recently about her time in the administration and how she truly felt about it, and it was less than savory, man, to be honest with you. So there's a lot of things that could have went better, but when you have a what do I want to say, a person like Donald Trump, I'm gonna just say it like that, right? When you have a person like Donald Trump who has very fascist and dictatorial views, methods, and approaches to government, you always have to have a strong opposition party, and the Democrats have not presented themselves as such. Now, we have had some success in last couple elections, which gives me a lot of promise, but we gotta do better, man. And that's just the realest shit ever. Like, we gotta do better, man. And so, it's a lot of shit going on in the world, man. And I woke up this morning and this was the hot topic, man. And so this is what we getting to, man. You know what I'm saying? Get the likes up, get the subscribes up, get the cash apps up. I appreciate y'all support. You feel me? Real shit.
I mean, nobody thinks that Maduro is a good guy or has a lot of confidence in the way that he was holding on to power. But again, the president of El Salvador calls himself, the world's coolest dictator, or whatever it is, that phrase is that he uses for himself. There's lots of countries around the world with de facto, arguable, or official dictatorships. If it is now the Trump corollary to the Monroe Doctrine that we invade and remove the leadership of every country where that's true, it's going to be a very different term in office, and it's going to be a very different world than the one that America First Donald Trump ran on. I mean, the whole
yeah. Let's tap in with that, right? America First Donald Trump, right? America first, man. This Venezuela shit ain't no America first. Like, Venezuela ain't a threat. You know what I mean? So America first. Maybe they have a different death. If you a MAGA supporter and you support Donald Trump and you watching this motherfucking live, leave me a comment and let me know, what does the America First slogan, doctrine, action look like? Because that ain't what the fuck I see, bro. That ain't what the fuck I see, man. Here, let's tap out with Rachel, man. It's one more video I wanted to show. Let's get right to it, man. Let's get right to it. It's one more video that I wanted to show here. Get the likes up. Appreciate y'all support. I appreciate y'all tapping in with me. You know what I'm saying? I didn't even plan to go this long, but I want to make sure that I thoroughly cover this topic, man. And I'm going to be putting some clips out. Hopefully you guys share the live, share the video. Get the likes up, support the channel, man. Definitely appreciate it. You know what I mean? It's one more video regarding this topic, man, that I wanted to tap in with. Where is it at here? Give me 1 second, fam. Give me 1 second. It's this one. All right, here we go. All right, so there's one more video that I wanted to actually take a look at. Let's see what we got here. All right, let's add that to the stage. Boom. Here we go.
This is an AI
man, get out of here with that. We don't want these commercials in here, man.
Responding to Donald Trump's unlawful invasion of Venezuela and Donald Trump's press conference from Mar-a-Lago, where Trump says the United States will now be running Venezuela, that the purpose of the invasion of Venezuela was to seize the oil and take it over for the American oil companies. Donald Trump also threw the main Venezuelan opposition leader, Maria Corina Machado, under the bus. He says that she's a nice lady, but that the people in Venezuela don't respect her. She was the recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize, who then praised Donald Trump, and now he's throwing her under the bus and says she shouldn't run it. Donald Trump says that he and the United States will be running a country of...
So they already fighting and infighting about who the fuck gonna take this oil over, man, and who gonna run the country and all that shit. Like they should have had a plan for this shit, man. Like this would let you know that they didn't have no plan for this shit, bro. They just went and I mean this looked like it was some shit that's in the works, but they don't have a plan to transition over the power. Why is that? There was an indictment in 2023, right? This happened in 2026. Right, so that's 3 years. In 3 years, they wasn't able to have a transition plan. That shit should have already been laid out, bro.
Unlawful invasion of Venezuela and Donald Trump's press conference from Mar-a-Lago, where Trump says the United States will now be running Venezuela, that the purpose of the invasion of Venezuela was to seize the oil and take it over for the American oil companies. Donald Trump also threw the main Venezuelan opposition leader, Maria Corina Machado, under the bus. He says that she's a nice lady, but that the people in Venezuela don't respect her. She was the recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize, who then praised Donald Trump, and now he's throwing her under the bus and says she shouldn't run it. Donald Trump says that he and the United States will be running a country of 28 million people right now. We'll see what the Venezuelan people
28 million people in Venezuela. Donald Trump said that, you know, after they bomb the country, they're going to run it. They're going to run the oil. They're going to transition the power over. But it's been 3 years and I don't see no plan to do that. So let me know in the comments if y'all think that shit going to happen. Because I don't. You feel me?
Are saying about that, but let's talk about what Congress is saying about that. Democrats in the House and Democrats in the Senate and independents in the House and the Senate are calling this an unlawful invasion that Donald Trump did not get.
That's the same shit I'm calling it. That's an unlawful motherfucking invasion, man. Illegal invasion. It's funny, man. The Trump supporters, like I was telling one of my, I don't even like telling people I got Republican friends, bro, but I got a couple of them motherfuckers, bro. And I was having a conversation with some of them Republican friends, man, and I told them straight up, man, y'all understand the word illegal when it comes to the immigrants, man, but y'all don't understand illegal when it comes to your president. And that's where it looks like you're in a cult. You know what I'm saying? That's where you MAGA motherfuckers look like y'all in a cult. You feel me? Look like y'all some sheep, man. And I'm the big bad wolf out here, bro. That's what we do. So, you know, man, get right or get left. You feel me?
Congressional authority that was required of this. And while Maduro is a dictator, which inherently means he's not legitimate, the United States can't just be engaged in regime change to seize oil and to run countries. It has a massive destabilizing effect on the world. Number two, it's just a war crime, and it is unlawful in general. And also it gives a permission structure for China to invade Taiwan, for Russia to continue its atrocities in Ukraine, for Israel to continue atrocities in Gaza. It provides a permission structure right now for tyrants and dictators to continue about their authoritarian reign. So here's what.
Yeah, that's a fact, man. I think that this authoritarian, illegal bombing of a sovereign nation emboldens a lot of these other goofy ass dictators around the world to you know, enforce that same type of you know, strategy, man. And so I think it's very important that, you know, we recognize that going forward, man. This could have, you know, the law of unintended consequences written all over it. You know what I mean?
What AOC posted, she goes, it's not about drugs. If it was, Trump wouldn't have pardoned one of the largest narco traffickers in the world last month. It's about oil and regime change. And they need a trial now to pretend that it isn't, especially to distract from his sinking under Epstein and skyrocketing healthcare costs. Democratic Senator Ruben Gallego, a veteran himself, who
salute to the gang, man. Y'all know what it is. If you know, you know. You feel me? I appreciate y'all support. But yeah. So everybody's questioning this move, man. Nobody knows what the fuck we doing this shit for. And I don't even know what the fuck we doing this shit for. But it's done. And so, you know, like I said, man, it could be the law of unintended consequences with this shit. If you look at Iraq, you look at Afghanistan, we had the greatest of intentions in both of those situations, right? But you know, we as a country suck at nation building. That's just what it is. You know what I mean? That ain't what we do. We don't got the patience, you know? And so I can see this, you know, blowing up in a lot of different ways, man, to be real.
Saw close friends of his die during war, says the neocons have moved their focus to the Caribbean. And he's responding to someone who goes, if I lived in Havana, I was in the government, I would be concerned at least a little bit, Rubio said of Cuba, because Donald Trump during his disastrous press conference threatened Cuba. Donald Trump threatened Colombia. And Donald Trump said that he was instituting a Don Roe doctrine, he said, to control and with a iron fist the Western Hemisphere and to treat every other country as a vassal state in the Western Hemisphere. Senator Guy in Cuba, Donald Trump threatened Colombia. And Donald Trump said that he was instituting a Don Roe doctrine, he said, to control and with a iron fist the Western Hemisphere and to treat every other country as a vassal state in the Western Hemisphere.
Look, my whole mic muted, man. I thought I was talking to y'all, man. I had so much shit I was giving y'all, man. Y'all couldn't even hear what the fuck I was saying, man. Damn, I'm back, bruh. But listen, basically, I none of this stuff really makes any sense, right? The moves that's being made. Why are we attacking Venezuela? Okay, we're saying the statement was that we're going to be the most dominant. We're going to enforce our dominance over the Western Hemisphere, right? But we already the most dominant in the Western Hemisphere. I mean, right? Am I? Let me know in the comments. I thought we was the most dominant in the Western Hemisphere for the last fucking, you know, half a century or what have you, right? A whole century or whatever the fuck you want to say, right? So, I mean, that logic still don't make no sense, man. And that's why words matter, man. And that's why, again, a part of what I'm good at is just breaking down the wordplay, breaking down the word salad, breaking down the jargon, and trying to make sense of that bullshit. And in this statement, you know, it sounds to me like this administration is trying to take advantage of poorer countries. Basically, is what it sounds like to me, man. We already the most dominant in the Western Hemisphere. There's no we one of the most dominant countries in the world. So why are you punching down to try to exercise that, right? And that's basically what this administration is all about. It's about punching downward and not upward, because the if you look at ICE chasing around immigrants, if you look at the Trump administration in the Supreme Court fighting against, against food stamp recipients receiving their food during Thanksgiving and the holidays, right? And so Donald Trump's a fake ass bully. I'm gonna be honest with y'all, man. And a lot of people may not like that I say that, but I just call it how I see it, man, on this channel, and that's what you're gonna get from me. But you know, put in the comments if you disagree, man. That's what this whole shit's about, man. You feel me? Let me know. Tap in with me, and I'm gonna tap in with you.
Senator Gallego goes on to say, I said Trump wanted to start a war, and now he's saying we're going to occupy Venezuela. Enough. I authored a war powers resolution to hold the Trump administration accountable for its illegal actions in Venezuela. I'm going to force a vote. Only Congress has the authority to take this country to war.
And that's a fact. I mean, only Congress has the authority to take this country to war, man. That's a fact. And there's a lot of people calling for Congress to go into session and vote on, you know, like the War Powers Act and all those things, man. I mean, Congress has to take a stand. and this Congress doesn't have a backbone. The Republican administration controls the House, the Senate, the Supreme Court, and the presidency. So I don't expect a whole bunch of damn pushback, but maybe they'll surprise me. You know what I'm saying? But I doubt it.
Ruben Gallego also says, so we went to war to capture Maduro, to occupy Venezuela. That's Donald Trump's own words. That's what Trump said during the press conference. We want to seize the oil for the big oil companies. That's why we're there. The oil belongs to us. And then again, he threw the opposition leader under the bus. Senator Gallego responded.
The oil belongs to us. You know what I'm saying? That's an entitlement thing, man. These guys feel entitled to, sovereign countries, resources around the world. And that just gives you a little bit of insight into the thinking of this administration and how they are approaching relationships around the world.
To Carrie Lake, remember her? She's still out there as a member of the Trump regime. And she goes, you are a part of a member of the Mexican cartel family. You're a fraud. No one is surprised by your most of any.
So this is just people that's chiming in, politicians and things like that, that's chiming in on what's going on with this Venezuela situation.
Into Senator Mark Kelly of Arizona put out the following statement. The President of the United States just overthrew a foreign ruler and explained to the American people that this is about taking control of the oil reserves of a foreign nation. He said that the U.S. will, quote, run the country until a proper transition can take place, and went right into how U.S. oil companies will benefit from this takeover. He doesn't understand the risks and costs involved with these poorly thought out decisions that don't make Americans any safer today than they were yesterday.
And that Senator Mark Kelly, man, I think he's got a bunch of more reactions. He's just kind of going through reading people's reactions here. Let's see what else we got. We can chime in and see what a little bit of this is.
What is the actual security threat to the United States? And what happens next in Venezuela? He cannot answer these questions. And that's why there was no briefing to Congress to explain this action, and no briefing scheduled. And Maduro's illegitimate election does not give the president power to invade without congressional approval, nor does it create a national security justification. That contention is laughable. This is about satisfying Trump's vanity, making good on the long.
I think that's very important, man. I kind of want to hear the end of that again, because I think that's a very important point at the end of Chris Murphy's comments. Let's hear that one more time.
What is the actual security threat to the United States? And what happens next in Venezuela? He cannot answer these questions. And that's why there was no briefing to Congress to explain this action, and no briefing scheduled. And Maduro's illegitimate election does not give the president power to invade without congressional approval, nor does it create a national security justification. That contention is laughable. This is about.
Yeah, laughable. You know what I'm saying? Laughable. You feel me? Who else, man? We got who else he got on here? So yeah, he's just kind of going through some commentary here. Oh, let me see. See something here from Bernie Sanders, man. Let's see what all Bernie talking about here, man.
Once again shown his contempt for the Constitution and the rule of law. The President of the United States does not have the right to unilaterally take this country to war, even against a corrupt and brutal dictator like Maduro. The United States does not have the right, as Trump stated this morning, to run Venezuela. Congress must immediately pass a war powers resolution to end this illegal military operation and reassert its constitutional responsibilities. Trump's attack on Venezuela will make the United States and the world less safe. This brazen violation of international law gives a green light to any nation on earth that may wish to attack another country to seize their resources or change their governments. This is the horrific logic of force that Putin used to justify his brutal attack on Ukraine. Trump and his administration have often said they want to revive the Monroe Doctrine, claiming the.
As y'all can see, man, ain't nobody with this shit, bro. Let's tap in. Let's get out of that, man. Ain't nobody really with this shit, man. You know what I'm saying? We gonna be back trying to figure this whole shit out. I just wanted to give y'all a little bit of how I see the game, you know what I'm saying, and you know, some of the sources that I tap into to get good information. As you can see, you know, this has the potential to definitely get out of hand, man. So we're gonna stay on top of this story, man. Like I said, I had a whole nother show planned for y'all, man. I was gonna hit y'all with 4 or 5 different other stories, man. You know what I'm saying? But this one came hot off the press, so we had to cover it, man. And I definitely appreciate y'all tapping in with me, man. Thank you for, you know what I mean, all your time, you know what I'm saying, and supporting, you know, what I'm trying to do here. Support the channel, support the platform, get the likes up, comments, cash apps, all that, man. It's the remix with Cali Dre. You tap in with me, man. I'm gonna tap in with you. Salute.
Get my mind right. Money on my mind, got my money in my mind right. Money on my mind, got no time for that limelight. I'm from California, man, I guess we'll start with that. Banged out starter caps, glued to the cul-de-sac, looking like an artifact, trying to get their money back. Yellow jackets coming, mama about to have a heart attack. Southeast San Diego, we was at the heart of that. You moved about the hood, my nigga, you ain't want no part of that. Move to work and let the money drip the laundry mat. I pray to God the homie get his little daughter back. So many problems and it's not even a part of rap. So many suckers and they hating and they copycat. And life is bigger than these bitches that you hollered at. And if you bleed it out, I better get $3 back. And all I'm giving is the facts. Pay attention to the stats and never making mention of the jacks. Gotta keep the money stacked, work your way through the traps. Money motivated to the max. Money on my mind, got my money in my mind right. Money on my mind, got my money in my mind right. Money on my